All right. As you may have seen, the infamous video Israelism is about to hit Apple TV, Amazon TV, and this movie that really speaks very, very harshly, portrays Israel in a very negative light, portrays Jewish institutions, Jewish day schools in a negative light, is out there for the public to see. I'm here today with Jacqui Schulefand, who appears in the video, but not in the way she planned to appear. We're going to speak to her about what possible misleading things the creators of the film have done, who's been wronged by this video, and what do they get wrong in the way that they portray the state of Israel and Jewish institutions. So first of all, hello, Jacqui. It's great to be with you.
Hi, it's so nice to see you also. Thank you.
So you agree to speak to a video that's ostensibly pro-Israel, supposed to portray Israel in the positive light that it should be. And a few months or years go by, and you're shocked to see that your face is on this now infamous or famous, depends who you're asking, film. And you suddenly hear that you're on this film, which you never ever would have agreed to be on, and you find others finding themselves in the same situation where they agree to what's presented to them as a pro-Israel film, and to their horror, they find out that they now are on a film that's vilifying Israel, showing Jewish institutions as centers for indoctrination and just negative stuff. How does that all happen? How does that make you feel? Walk me through it from the beginning.
Okay, it first it makes me feel sick to my stomach, to be really honest with you. These two filmmakers came onto campus when I was working at a Hillel, and they spoke with somebody that was working there, and they presented themselves as pro-Israel. They were young, just starting out filmmakers, and they wanted to do something pro-Israel. And we double checked with them to make sure that it was going to be something that was going to be pro-Israel. And we got students involved. They wanted to interview myself, having been a former day school teacher. And they wanted to talk to other people that were connected with Israel advocacy. And they wanted to speak with students that were also involved, Jewish students that were involved in Hillel. And like I said, presenting themselves as pro-Israel, turns out that they were very much not pro-Israel. Um, this was in 2019, and I had really all but forgotten about it because we hadn't heard anything since then. Um, and then last year, about May or June of 2023, I got a text message late at night, about 11:30 at night, from one of my former students, um, who on campus was very involved with Israel advocacy and was looking to continue in a profession that was pro-Israel. And he found out about this because one of his friends was at the time watching the documentary in California, and she called him and kind of told him what was going on.
And so to his horror, someone who is a solid supporter of Israel, stands with Israel, finds
Yeah.
himself on this screen that's presenting Israel in a very opposite light.
100%, 100%. He has always been, like I said, he's always been very pro-Israel and knows that we are also, and just couldn't believe that we had gotten him involved in something that put him at risk like this. I'm
Wow.
very upset. And I can't blame him. The way it was, the way it felt to him was that he felt that we had put him in a situation
Mm-hmm.
that was very detrimental to him personally, to his beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
and to his future.
Wow. So first of all, it's terrifying, I'm sure for you, I'm sure for him. And I would, if I had to guess, you guys are probably not the only ones that were misled into speaking to the film creators. Would you say that once you've spoken to them, your words were kept authentically? Were they cut? Was the message, at least, occasionally people make a documentary, they may not tell exactly how it's going to end up, but did they at least stay genuine to the message?
they did not stay genuine to the message. I can't speak to this 100% because I've not seen the documentary. I have seen the trailer and a few different cuts of it that I'm featured in. I can give you one example. That when we were talking, I was talking to him about having been a former day school teacher and how some of my former students are now lone soldiers in Israel. They have been and they currently are. I've, a few different students. And what I said was that it's heartbreaking that these kids at 18 years old, and it is heartbreaking that they have to put their lives on the line. Not only our kids, but Israeli soldiers, men and women at 18 years old had to put their lives on the line to protect their home. And just how devastating it is, and just how heartbreaking it is. And when I saw the trailer, what you hear me saying is that I have several students that are now lone soldiers, and then they cut to a video that shows the IDF in full gear with their machine guns drawn, with the helmets on and everything else, storming into some place. And then you hear me say, "This is awesome."
Wow.
So that was not my message.
So they use
And I
your
was
words.
shocked.
Yeah, wow. So instead of using your words, which is just speaking about people's inspiring commitment to going and defending Israel, they use your words as if, it's awesome that they're inflicting this pain on Palestinians, etc.
Exactly. Just very militaristic, just with the imagery and everything else.
Wow.
It's horrible. It was
Yeah,
horrible.
no, it is terrible. Now, just in terms of the actual idea of them saying, well, look, Jewish day schools are indoctrinating their students. How do you respond to that? Are Jewish day schools indoctrinating their students, or are they giving a broader picture? What are your thoughts?
So um what I also say, what I'm also quoted as saying, and I did say, is that in my opinion, that Judaism is Israel and Israel is Judaism. It's very hard to separate the two. It's the Jewish homeland. It's our history. It's where we began. And it's very hard to separate the two from each other. And as far as doctrinating, I can speak for where I taught at the school where I taught, where we did teach Israel, and we did teach Judaism, and we taught, Torah, we taught everything, and that's Israel also. But we also taught about Christianity, and we also taught about Islam, and we took the kids to mosques, and we took the kids to churches. And, even when we did do the eighth grade trip to Israel, we did a very balanced trip where we did acknowledge, and the students were very knowledgeable in Islam and in Christianity.
Mhm.
So did we indoctrinate them? I don't know what that means. Did we teach them about Israel? 100%. Did we teach them that that's our homeland? Yes. Is that where our history is? It starts from? Yes, 100%. But the video that I saw, the trailer, it shows a group of looked like very young students, maybe K to 3. And the eighth grade students were either just going to Israel or just coming back from Israel. And you hear somebody say, "Who wants to go to Israel?" And then all the kids were like, "Yeah, we do." But at the same time, we could have said, "Who wants to go to Disney World?" Or we could have said, "Who wants to go to New York?" And you would have gotten the same response. They were obviously all hyped up. So again, it's very misleading. Um, I think that we do a fair job teaching them about world religions and who we are in it. I don't think that using the word indoctrinating is fair.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, yeah, it's impossible to go through any Jewish prayer at any point without seeing Israel there. And so, yes, you're right.
Mhm.
The Jewish day schools should be teaching Judaism, and part of Judaism, a major part of Judaism, is the return to Israel, the land of Israel, the people of Israel. And someone who doesn't like that is welcome to have their opinions, but
Right.
it's not fair to say it's indoctrination. This is the way Jews have been teaching Judaism for 2000
Right.
years. So that's I think, yeah, it's teaching Judaism, and that's what day schools do very well.
Sorry about that. Yep.
I think another interesting point about the topic of indoctrination is really funny in a way, looking at the past few months, where you see anti-Zionist Jews taking part of these encampments where they say we do
Right,
not engage with Zionists, we do not speak to Zionists. Zionists are not even allowed in this area. And so for
right.
those people to come and say, oh, you're not balanced enough, you're not taking your children enough to Ramallah, I think is laughable, just because on their side of things, there's 10 times more of extreme indoctrination and absolute negation of the other side. The other side does not even exist. So I think that's
Mhm.
also really something appalling. Let me ask you a question. How do you feel about this film, both personally and in terms of the other people you know whose lives have been negatively impacted by it, coming to an audience as wide as it is coming in the coming weeks?
Again, it makes me sick. It just makes me sick because this was not how it was, this was not the intention of us participating in this. And when you talk about being on campus in the encampments, I was on the campus a few weeks ago when the encampment was set up. And the first thing I see was a sign that said Jews and Palestinians united. And I was like, oh, okay, against Israel. And
Hmm.
it's like, I said it at one point, I said, how did we fail our kids? Like how were we not able to teach them this message where they can then turn it back on us? Um, and just not understand the history and not understand, I mean, past history, but not so past history. I mean, pretty
Hmm.
recent history also. And to think that it's going to have such a wide audience when people aren't looking for the truth. People aren't looking for the facts. People aren't looking at both sides. Look at both sides. Educate yourself, but look at both sides to see what the facts are.
Hmm.
And you can't say this is my fact, this is your fact. Yeah, they're two sides 100%, but history is still history and facts are still facts. And the way that they are twisting everything,
Hmm.
um, and people are listening and they hear it and they're loud. And the louder they are, the more people are hearing it. And the fact that it's going to such a wide audience and it's so twisted and it's so backwards it's just terrifying. Um, we heard somebody speak a couple of weeks ago who said, will it get better 100%? But it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. And with things like this, and coming from two Jewish filmmakers from such a skewed vantage point, I don't
Wow.
know. I just don't get it.
I wonder sometimes, one of the most upsetting things to me about Jewish day schools is that when you come to them, it's like you come sometimes to these the amount of security that's needed, and the amount of sometimes they have to sort of make it a bit vague that it's not a Jewish day school there, or other
Mhm.
security precautions. To
Right,
me, that's enraging, because this is a kid's school. And why should anyone have to hide it? And why should anyone have to hire security? And the fact that Jewish day schools are seen, or synagogues, or any civilian institution, are seen as somehow a legitimate target for anti-Semites, that to me is mind-boggling. And so I guess I'm wondering what you think of a film like this getting such a wide audience at such an explosive time. I don't think the makers in
right.
2019 ever dreamt we'd be living through such times. By now, I don't think they necessarily care, but I hope they do. Uh, what do you think the impact might be of such a film going so wide, portraying Jewish day schools as these, Iranian, Russian style indoctrination centers
Right.
for child soldiers, or whatever other horrific picture they portray?
Right. I think that it came at a time, it was just a perfect storm. Just the timing of everything. For them, it couldn't have been better. For us, couldn't have been worse.
Wow.
Um, and you're right, I currently teach and I'm responsible for teachers. I'm the educational director at a synagogue. Um, and to think that I'm responsible for these kids and for my teachers, it's huge. And when one of the teachers said to me, there's a sign that we have that says, the name of the school and you're welcome and everyone's welcome. And she said, you know what, we need to take that down because we don't want to advertise that there's students in here, that there's kids in here. And
Wow.
it made me cry. It just made me
Mhm.
cry. Like you said, we were in New York yesterday and I was with a friend of mine who had said that at one point she had took her chai off because
Wow,
her
like the
necklace,
Jewish symbol.
the Jewish symbol, she didn't want people to see it. And to have to feel so terrified, do I think that it's the majority of people? No. But I think that the people that are like this, are doing this,
Mhm.
are very, very clearly causing as much chaos as possible. They're trying to make us terrified,
Mhm.
and it's working. They're loud, and they're causing as much chaos as is humanly possible. Blocking roads and blocking airports and blocking, you
Mhm.
know, the presidential, the motor. I mean, everything. They're just making as much chaos as possible. And like I said, the timing for them couldn't be more perfect.
Wow.
With everything going on with October 7th and everything else, it's just it's it's bad. It's just bad.
And so just what would be your message? Just I would say besides for the fact that, I also think that they are inflaming anti-Semitism. They're going to inflame negative sentiments to Jewish institutions, from
Mhm.
federations to synagogues to day schools. Do you think the film's going to have an impact on the people who are sending their children to Sunday schools, to JCCs,
I, I,
schools?
yeah, I don't know. From what I heard, I was just reading an article that enrollment in Jewish day schools is up by some like crazy number. I want to say like 500%. I don't know that
Oh.
that's the right number, but the point is that enrollment in Jewish day schools is up,
Mhm.
is really up. I don't know about Sunday schools. I don't know about, at the afternoon religious schools.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. Like I know in my religious school, the numbers did go up after October 7th. We grew by almost 20%. It's a small
Wow.
number, but it's by almost 20%. I don't know if that's related or not.
Mhm.
I don't know, but I think it is definitely going to impact if it goes to the masses like this. There's enough people who have erroneous information,
Mhm.
and to use this inflammatory, the words, the imagery, the edited versions of what we said. The former head of the ADL is also featured in this documentary,
Yeah, I saw Abe
um,
Foxman.
Abe
Yeah.
Foxman, and I can guarantee you that
He did not sign up for this either.
that he did not sign up for this either. No.
Wow.
Um, but I think that as much as it has the possibility of
Mhm.
inflaming anti-Semitism, anti-Zionism, which
Mhm.
100% it will. I think on the other side, it also might strengthen, the Jewish people and the Zionist people. I mean,
Mhm.
that's my hope, that people see this as what it is
Mhm.
and decide that enough is enough and become stronger um in their faith and their belief and in their, willing to speak out and to
Yeah.
fight against it.
I mean, if it just on a very neutral term, you take a video like that, the fact is it's a formula you can use against every army in the world, right? You put in the American army, right? So you look at recruitment videos, you look at military families, you look
Mhm.
at all the positivity we have towards our veterans, those who are serving and protecting us, and then you cut straight to horrible mistakes which do happen, and
Yep.
and horrible things that do happen in every war and with every military, and you'll get a horrible image. I mean, if you speak about the French army, yeah, go to France, get a camera crew, ask French children what they think about the French army, and then cut to the French army bombing an entire wedding in Mali, which they did, killing 19 people. And you say, all
Right.
right, look at the French, look how they raise their children, and this is what they're looking for, and you make them look like villains. It's a simple formula you can use for literally every single army, from Canada I don't know if Switzerland you can do it, probably not Switzerland, but pretty much you can do it with every army, every police force, and probably even some fire departments where occasionally there are disasters. And yeah, I think it's a misleading tenant that is just used to defame people and make the Jewish people and the Jewish state look worse.
Correct. I agree 100%. You know, that the imagery that they use, no
Yeah,
words, you know, pictures worth 1,000 words. Yeah,
yeah. So
it's
you Wow, it's unfortunate. If you can speak directly to the producers right now, what would be your final message to them about this? I don't know if they can take the film down, but what would be your message?
my message to them would be whether it's Jewishness, whether it's Zionism, whatever it is, to have anything out there that could potentially cause this much harm and violence and hatred and increase um, you know, issues like this so vehemently, to really think about your responsibility and what your part in all of this is. And if you know, if any of this, have a conversation, you know, have a conversation and let people speak both truths, but don't use it as a way to inflame something that's already so like wildfire. And you have a responsibility. You know, you really just have a responsibility, and you're not, what you're doing is horrible and dangerous and just heartbreaking.
Wow. Look, you know what? I find it inspiring that you spoke about the bigger picture, about the bigger concerns that they have, even though you could have spoken about the personal damage that they brought to you and other people that spoke on the film. But uh, I gotta praise you for that. Just thinking about the bigger people, the community impacted by this, and yes, there's also obviously the individual level. But thank you. I appreciate your time, and I hope that a proper response film is going to come out. Although I don't know that it would get the same audience, because unfortunately, there's always a bigger audience for anti-Semitism.
Yeah, sadly, it's true. Sadly.
All right.